I'm Dr. Julia Spinello, and welcome to Medical Girl Mystical World, where health is not just about medicine. Today, my guest is Rochelle Parker. She is a Feng Shui expert who has been practicing for over 20 years. Welcome, Rochelle.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for being on my show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes. So I was researching you, and you became interested in Feng Shui when you saw a segment on CNN many, many years ago.
Many years ago.
So tell me about that and how you started to build your practice.
Well, I was watching CNN, and it was about 24 years ago. They had a segment called Dollars and Cents or the Business Minute back when they had news on CNN. Mm-hmm. And then they would do these stories. And so it was unusual stories about businesses. And there was a businessman in California, a builder, who couldn't sell his houses in the Asian market. Mm. He couldn't figure out why Asians weren't buying their houses. It was a very Asian market. Mm-hmm. And so someone introduced him to Feng Shui, and he decided he was going to change his floor plans. And it was the non-Asians were buying his houses. Hmm. And there was this woman, blonde, blue-eyed, and totally non-Asian, smiling. And she just said, I just don't know why. It just feels so good to me. And my background's environmental engineering. Mm-hmm. So I was an environmental engineer. So I understood how your environment impacts your physiology. Right. Whether you're aware of it or not, it's having an impact on you. So when I saw her standing there just smiling, and she couldn't explain why, I just felt so good. I knew there had to be something about this Feng Shui thing that caused a shift in your physiology. Mm-hmm. So I decided to investigate it because at the time I was single, broke, unemployed. My life was just really sucking wind. I mean, my life was just awful. Mm-hmm. So I investigated and I found this Feng Shui consultant in Atlanta, and I hired her to come and do my house. And I did everything she told me to do. I didn't care how ridiculous it sounded. Some of it sounded really ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Really ridiculous. But I was...
Give me an example of the ridiculousness.
Okay, she told me I needed to plant a donut-shaped magnet in my neighbor's yard at the bottom of their telephone pole. Okay. And so there I was at midnight with a tablespoon out digging in my neighbor's yard.
Was that supposed to help with EMFs? Or?
It was supposed to help with, no, it was supposed to just help with all the whole energy of my space. Okay. And I said when I had no problems with digging in my neighbor's yard at midnight, but where do you find a donut-shaped magnet I thought when she told me that. Oh my God. But Home Depot sells magnets that are donut-shaped. So anyway, so I did that. I did everything she told me to do. And I said that this ring is my Feng Shui trophy and the man that goes with it. Because after I did the Feng Shui, I moved from a 1,500 square foot house in Marietta to a 5,000 square foot house on the lake in Gainesville. Wow. Yeah, with my new husband. So my life, I went from driving a beat up pickup truck to driving a Mercedes. I mean, my life just changed so dramatically. But I knew as an engineer that there was something to this. Right. There is some basis to this. And so I went down to Borders Books down in Buckhead, and I bought $500 worth of books. I went out there with shopping bags of books. I thought, I'm going to research this. I'm going to figure out what this is really all about. Right. So I got home, and I've got these books, and I'm like, one book says do this, another book says do that. There was all this no continuity. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get it. So I said to my husband, I can't figure this out because there's no continuity. And I understand it from a physics perspective. Right. You know, cause and effect. My body, because it's impacted. I couldn't figure it out. He said to me, and I should have recorded this, okay? Because he said to me, you're really smart. You're an engineer, for goodness sakes. Getting a husband to tell you you're really smart is like a big deal. So I said, I know, but I just can't. If there's no consistency, how can I figure this out? And he was like, I can't help you, sweetie. Then somehow, I don't know how, but somehow I got on a mailing list of a Feng Shui master who was coming to the United States to teach an introductory class in Philadelphia for 7 days. So I took the flyer to my husband and I said to him, I take this class. Right. It's $2,500 for the class plus hotel.
And that's a lot for 20-something years ago.
It was a lot of money. So it was Philadelphia, 7 days, hotel, airfare, food. And he just said to me, Rochelle, you've been in this stuff since the day I met you. Just go take the class. Right. And I was like, okay. I don't think he realized then that I would spend $60,000. That's $60,000 on studying Feng Shui. That was just the beginning. And from there, I was introduced to other masters. I went to conferences. I met other masters. And so it led me to have studied with and been certified by 5 classical Feng Shui masters.
And there's what, 6?
I've total 6 that I've studied with, and I'm certified by 5. And I went to Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong to get certified. I went to Canada to take classes. I went to Europe to take classes because you want introductory classes. The Chinese masters came to the United States to teach introductory classes because they felt like their profession was being so bastardized by the American culture. Because we have this other form of Feng Shui that's referred to as folklore Feng Shui. Right. So they wanted to come and just kind of introduce us to classical. And that's really, fortunately for me, how I was introduced to the whole world.
So during your studies with these different masters, did you notice a vast difference between the 6 of them?
No.
Okay.
No, that was the greatest thing. It was all this consistency. And
that's what you wanted.
Exactly.
Right.
And if one master said to me, this formula, because it's all formulas, and then the second master didn't talk about the formulas all the way through certification, they never mentioned it, I said, well, is this accurate? Oh, yeah, that's accurate. Well, why didn't you teach that? Oh, because it's not as important to me as what I taught you. And so then when I started with the third one, I would ask all these, I kept it going. And so now I'm glad that I studied with so many different masters because I say I have more tools in my toolbox. Right. Because I really, but the introduction is all consistent and their information is very consistent. And I actually met a man who's not here anymore who was doing Feng Shui in Gwinnett. He was Chinese. And we used a translator because we really couldn't speak. But he went through all my notes and he was like, yeah. We're discussing. There was and he didn't know who I studied with. And he was just like, we're having a conversation that he understood everything that was in my notes. And so I feel very confident that the masters I studied with were the real deal.
So there are differences, and there's classical Feng Shui and modern Feng Shui.
Right.
And there's probably some others types out there.
Oh, yeah.
But there's this very distinct between those two. Can you describe those for me?
Yeah. Well, we have classical Feng Shui, which has been around for 5,000 years.
And that's the one that you practice.
And that's what I practice. And we know that because they found some of the formulas that I actually use today etched on animal bones. Archaeologists found these.
Wow.
Yeah. And they carbon dated them back 5,000 years. So we know that at least 5,000 years the Feng Shui has been practiced. And they say it's been continuous practice for 5,000 years. The Western Feng Shui, or a modern version of Feng Shui, was really introduced to the United States in the early 1980s when a man came to the United States, and he's Professor Lin Yun, and he came here to start a new sect of Buddhism called Black Hat Tantra Buddhism, or BTB. And you'll see a lot of the books say BTB or Black Hat, and that is the form of Feng Shui that was introduced to the United States. He came here to start Buddhism, a new sect, which would be like starting a Southern Baptist church. It's not like a whole new religion. And his temple was designed or decorated in what the Chinese refer to as folklore Feng Shui. Okay. Which is the red tassels and the Chinese coins and all the mirrors and all these things that they incorporate into their style of Feng Shui. And some of his religious followers asked him, what is all this decor? And he explained to them it was Feng Shui. He'd never studied Feng Shui. It's just folklore Feng Shui that they just, part of their culture is that they do these things. And some of the Americans that studied with him, his religion, studied religion with him, wrote books about it. And it just took off from there. It was in San Francisco, and it was still very big in San Francisco.
So tell us about, for the viewers that don't know anything about Feng Shui, what is Feng Shui?
Feng Shui is really the science or the technology of identifying energy patterns in your space, and then how those energy patterns affect your physiology. And when your physiology is impacted, your psychology is impacted.
Correct.
And I tell people it's like people who do drugs or drink alcohol. They're changing their physiology and thereby changing their mental state. And when you change your physiology, you change your mental state no matter what. So if you're sitting in a space that's a good Feng Shui for you, you're going to think more clearly. And it's like the blinders are removed from your brain. It's like going from having the flu to being healthy. You know, when you have the flu, you can't think about anything. You have this foggy brain. You're just like, let me get through this day. But when you're in a healthy state, you're like, oh, life is good. Having an environment that supports your physiology create sort of like having healthy lifestyle,
right,
supports your physiology, you can think more clearly.
mm-hmm.
And they're not doing this anymore. You're now like, oh, I see opportunities I never knew existed.
Right.
They were there the whole time.
Right.
You just don't see them because you're getting through the day. Just get me through.
Right.
And that has been the experience I've had with my clients.
Mm-hmm.
They call me and tell me, Rochelle, you're not going to believe this. Like, yeah, I will, but tell me anyway. I want to hear it.
Yeah.
The experiences they've had after making minor changes in their homes. One client, I use her as an example all the time, and then she called me. It's fabulous. She lived in a tiny little one-bedroom apartment. So there's not much you can do in a tiny little bedroom apartment. But I said to her, she was thin, exercised, ate healthy. And I said to her, you can't possibly feel well with your bed facing this compass direction. You just can't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I run. I'm telling you, you can't. And because she paid me a lot of money, she took my advice. And she called me a week later, being a single woman, took her a week to get somebody to help her move her bed. She said she bounced out of bed for 3 days in a row. She couldn't believe the energy she had, how much life was so much better. She could just think more clearly. Everything was great. It was as simple as moving your bed can change your life.
Mm-hmm. Because the Feng Shui is dealing with the energy or the chi or the prana that's in your living space.
Exactly.
And this is like in their home, in your office,
retail, everywhere.
So
everywhere.
Yeah. So there are hundreds of books out there.
There are hundreds. Probably thousands.
Probably. I don't know. I have not counted yet. But
probably thousands.
What would you tell people when they would need to consult your services rather than looking at a bunch of books and trying to figure it out themselves?
I would tell them not to waste their money on the books.
Okay.
To hire someone like me.
Okay.
They don't have to hire me. I find that it's karma. The first Feng Shui master I ever studied with said it's all about karma. He said, you can be the only Feng Shui consultant on the whole planet, and there'll be people who don't hire you because they don't have karma with you. Okay? Or there can be, like 10 Feng Shui consultants and one person, and that one person is going to hire the person they have karma with. And so I have found that to be true for me. When I show up at people's houses, I know why I'm there and why another consultant is not. I just know. And I'm sure other consultants know as well. When they show up at someone's house, why they're there and I'm not.
Right.
So I would say go with your gut, but don't waste money on websites, buying tchotchkes. I have clients who spend thousands of dollars on websites. What is that? Knickknacks.
Okay.
Chinese coins and red tassels and Swarovski crystals. Those are like the huge things that people sell. But then they have these websites, and some of them tell you that you have to buy a new product every year. Yeah, I know.
And they probably sell them with
and they sell them, and
they're making money off of it.
And it's $1,000 worth of product, and you have to put this in the north, and this in the south, and this in the west. And then I go to their houses, and I'm like, you've spent more money on this stuff than you're going to spend on me. And it wasn't effective, or I wouldn't be here.
Right.
So I would say, don't waste your money on books. Don't waste your money on websites buying all these little tchotchkes or knickknacks or items and placing them around your home. Do your research and find the consultant that you feel karma with, the one that feels right for you.
That resonates with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then hire them. And then trust them and do what they tell you to do.
Okay.
I tell my clients, give me 30 days. If you don't have changes in 30 days, I've done something wrong and we'll come back and readdress. But you have to do what I tell you to do.
Right.
Okay, this can't be like, oh, well, I kind of did maybe half of what you told me or a quarter and I'm not really seeing any results. No, if you do what I tell you to do, you will see results because we're shifting the energy of your space.
So are you taking the stuff that the people already have in their home and just moving it around? Are you telling them to buy certain things to incorporate into their house, or you just use what they have?
98% is use what you have.
Well, that's great. That saves them some money.
Yeah, I'm very frugal, and I like to be frugal for my clients. And so I don't sell any products. Like I don't really sell a lot of product. I carry some things that I give my clients for free, just because they're not very expensive and they're easier for me to get them for them to go on the internet and buy. Like Bagua mirrors are very challenging to find anywhere. They don't even sell them on Buford Highway in the Asian
Those
markets.
are the Asian markets here in Atlanta.
The Asian markets. And so I buy them by the hundreds, and I just give them to my clients, and I set them up for them, and I take care of them. And I also have quartz crystals, like real quartz crystals, that I have cut that I only sell to my clients because those are very hard to get. Even for me, I have to have them cut myself. Those are the only things really, and an essential oil. Everything else, I want you to take your space and realign it to where it supports you. So we just take your furnishings and you realign them. I don't suggest people tear down walls. I don't even tell them usually to paint colors. Like, what color should I paint my bedroom? Okay, not yellow. Okay, not yellow, because bedrooms are yin. Yellow is yang.
Oh.
Yeah, right?
So what are yin colors?
Yin colors are like dark blues and grays, kind of like even like a light gray or a white, creamy white. Those kind of colors are more yin. They're kind of slow and contracting. And we don't want that yellow in our bedroom. We want that in our living room. So even like bright blue, like neon blue, we don't want that in our bedroom. Even though it's blue, it's like neon, so it's too yang. Yeah. So we try to keep track of the yin and the yang in addition to compass directions. And so there's many levels to classical Feng Shui and it gets very intricate. Yeah. And so those are the kinds of things that I would tell people. Don't paint your bedroom yellow.
You mentioned the different components of the classical Feng Shui. I know there's many and it's a lot of detail, but can you briefly describe some of those for us?
Well, the number one is landform.
Okay.
Land formation, how the actual physical land around your space flows. Does it go up and down? And then I'm looking for also like water, any kind of water. Do you have like a creek or a river or a lake? Like I live on a lake. That tells us a lot because energy Feng Shui literally translates to wind and water. So I'm looking for how does the land formation tells me how the wind blows. Does it go down in a valley? Does it come up the hill? Those kinds of things. Then I'm looking for virtual water, real water, and then virtual water, which is parking lots, pathways, driveways, things like that, because that's how energy flows. Right. How it's going to come to you. So landform is always number one. Okay. Priority one of everything. Right. Then we go to landform, interior landform, which is your floor plan. Because the walls cause the energy to move. Like the energy hits the wall and has to go somewhere. And so how is that energy moving in your space dependent on the walls? So then I go to compass directions, and then I do compass direction versus compass sector. So you can be sleeping in the north sector of your house, but facing the south.
Right. Aren't you supposed to be facing east? Or your head's in the east?
It depends on your date of birth.
Really?
Yes. And your sex. Because men and women, we know, are slightly different physiologically. They have slightly different chemical makeup. So the year that we're born, how we respond to the energy of the earth that year is slightly different. But yes, the moment you leave your mother's womb, you experience the earth's energy for the first time, and your body adapts to that. And we know that the pole makes a few degrees shift on the earth, right? Every year. So the frequency of the earth is a little bit different every year. So you were born, okay, the energy, whatever the energy was that year, you adapted to it. Your body just said, oh, this is what supports me for the rest of my life. And I tell people we can change the color of our eyes with contacts. We can change the color of our hair with dye. We can tan our skin. We can bleach it. We can do a lot of things to change our physical appearance. Right. But we cannot physically change our compass direction. It just stays with us for life. So based on your compass direction as to what is your best front door, your best bedroom, and your best stove location. Those are the three most important aspects of Feng Shui.
I know, would never have guessed stove location.
But think about it, it's where all of your food. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, think about your food, your nutrients, the things that come into your body. So the person who's cooking the food, the stove has to be good for them. All right? Because they need to be supported while they're cooking your food and putting their energy into your food. It's one reason I don't eat out very often. I'm very cautious about people's energy fields. What kind of, are they in good mood, bad mood? What's going on with their cooking my food? So anyway, but when the stove is like crucial. Like we have a whole formula on how to move a stove. You have to move the stove here for 2 weeks, then you move it here. Then you can cook on your stove because it's crucial. So the number one is your front door because that's the mouth to your house. It's where all the nutrients, oxygen, everything we really need. We can be breathed through our nose, but the mouth is where the majority comes. So they consider the front door to be the mouth to your house. So that's very important. That's number one. The number two is the bedroom. It's where you sleep for 8 hours, or at least we hope you sleep 8 hours. But however many hours you are there, it's when your body rejuvenates and recuperates, and it really needs to be supported and protected during that time so that you're relaxed, completely relaxed. You don't have to worry about burglars coming in or chi flowing over you in the wrong direction. So that's the bedroom is number 2, or the bed location in the bedroom. And then the stove, because that's where all your food comes from, all your nutrients, the whole family's nutrients.
Right.
So the Chinese are all really about family. They're not about Feng Shui to make money.
Mm-hmm.
It's really all about the holistic aspect of the whole family, not just, I want a relationship with another person of interest for me, or I want to make a lot of money, or, I have health issues. No, it's everything. Just what you're talking about with all yours. It's all holistic. Mm-hmm. It's this whole evolution of everything has to come together.
Have you had any clients ever move or change locations because the Feng Shui wasn't right for them?
Yes, I have actually. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What happened with
because
that?
It's so accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to a woman's house and I said to her, you can't keep your money. And she, how did you know? Well, because your house talks to me. Mm-hmm. It's like there's neon signs everywhere. It's like, so, and I'm like, I can just tell you. And so I go on to explain to them all the things. And she said, well, I've been here for 10 years and you're absolutely right. I've done everything and I just can't keep my money out. Very, very professional woman making a lot of money and she just can't keep it. And so she said, what can I do to fix it? Well, I have solutions, but they're not going to fix 100%. And first of all, there's no house that's 100% Feng Shui correct. We were never meant to live in houses. We're animals. We were really meant to live outside. And I'm not saying I'm a proponent of living in a tent, because I'm not. Okay? It's not where I come from. But we physiologically, we evolved to caves and then little straw huts. And now, we live in houses. But all the Feng Shui masters I've studied with, I've been to their homes, and they'll point out all the Feng Shui flaws, because there's no 100%. But I do have solutions that'll help people fix things and make it better. It's not going to fix it, but it's going to make it better. So we do abatement. So I offered her abatement, which we did, but she was like, I'm going to fix this. I am going to, not live in this situation. So she sold her house and she's hired me 4 times to go and look at houses for her. Wow. She's like very stringent. I, on the other hand, would just live with it for a while and just try to fix it, work with it. So yeah, we're still looking for the house for her to have where she won't lose her money, because that was very important to her.
What is the most common thing that you see when you go into houses that need to be fixed?
Probably clutter.
Really? Okay.
I would say clutter, and people sleep in the wrong bedrooms.
You mean like instead of sleeping in the master bedroom to sleep in the guest bedroom?
Well, my husband and I sleep in the smallest room in our house.
Really?
Yeah.
But you feel good, right? I mean,
yeah. I'd washed the sheets and they weren't dry. And so I said to him, we're going to have to sleep in the guest bedroom because I didn't dry the sheets. Yeah. He said, well, okay. So he slept in the guest bedroom. He got up the next morning and he said, that is the best night's sleep I've had in years.
Wow.
Yeah. So then, it gets better. He says, the master bedroom is where the master sleeps. If I'd known that, I would have put a brass plate on the door, master bedroom. Because we can dictate. We don't have to let the architect dictate to us where we sleep.
Right.
Right? But we do. The master bedroom. So my husband gets it's not the master bedroom. The master bedroom is where he decides the master bedroom is.
Right.
And that's where we sleep, in the smallest bedroom in our house, which I've been trying for 3 years to get him to sleep in.
So what do you do with your master bedroom?
It's just beautiful.
What do you have in there now?
A bed. It was a beautiful bed. It was beautiful. But we keep all of our clothes in the master bedroom closets. Yeah. We use the master bedroom bathroom. Wet sheets. That's what did it.
Wow.
And got him to move. And he felt so much better. That his whole, he's just like, wow, my brain is clear. I feel better. I slept good. Okay, done. We're sleeping down here.
That's incredible.
So we just sleep in and I don't have to worry about making the bed for company. Let's go. Here's my beautiful master bedroom. And we didn't move any of our clothes or any of our toiletries.
You just sleep in the other room.
We just sleep in that other room.
Now, you were talking.
Simple as that.
That's wonderful. You were talking about clutter earlier. Now, Marie Kondo is a big, I guess you would call her a celebrity of making clean spaces. And I mean, she is like hot right now with looking at things and do they give you joy? So that's one of the things I wanted to ask you. So what do you think about her and her practice and how that helps people. Yeah. Tell me what you think about that.
I went and watched her show, and I thought I really liked the way she folded clothes and had them stacked. That made sense to me. Mm-hmm. But I'm an engineer. Things have to make sense to me.
Right.
Having joy in every item in your home, I had a little challenge with.
Why is that?
Well, I don't know that my broom brings me joy. Or my vacuum cleaner. No, really. I mean, I really thought about her.
I didn't think about it that way.
Her whole philosophy about it has to bring you joy. And she's in this whole, call it Pollyanna kind of state of like everything in your house should bring you joy. Yeah, I don't get that. Mm-hmm. Some practical things are just pragmatic and you just have to have them.
Right.
I mean, it's not. But other than that, I agreed with her getting rid of the clutter and how she organized everything. I thought it'd be a little challenging to live with on a pragmatic level because all the little tiny boxes and but clearing the clutter is absolute. Right. You cannot have good feng shui if you have clutter. Mm-hmm. So I agree with her on that. And I liked the way she folded things and the way everything had to be organized and her categories and all of that. But when she said everything had to bring joy, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But the praying and thanking the home for giving you shelter, I totally get that. I highly recommend that my clients use their religion of choice to have that head of that religion come to their home and do a blessing on their home, especially a new home, or if I'm the first, coming to their home, if they never had it done before. I think every home needs that kind of a spiritual, energetic boost. So I agree with her on that when she did her prayer and was thanking the home. And yeah, I think we should be very thankful for our homes and every day. But that's not part of feng shui. But there's a lot of things that, like civil engineering, electrical engineering, come to build a house or a building. They complement each other. And there are many things that complement feng shui, like good interior design, like her organization. Those are things that complement feng shui,
right?
But they're not feng shui.
Gotcha.
And a lot of people put out, organize your life with feng shui. Really? I'm the most disorganized person on the planet, almost. I really am. My husband points it out to me, Rochelle, bad feng shui. Because I'm like a clutter nut. Like my counter gets kind of cluttered sometimes. And he reminds me, I can't have any clutter. I'm like, oh, God, okay. All right.
What would you say would be the top 3 things that people need to get rid of in their houses besides clutter?
Oh, well, then it's not clutter. There's nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know that some things people say with certain heirlooms or things that may have a negative energy to them, that kind of stuff. I've heard
what
that.
What causes the negative energy?
What people that gift those things, that they go to Goodwill and pick those up and the energy comes with it.
Well, if you buy something at Goodwill, you wash it. I would think.
Well, see, that's a good point. I don't think anybody knows that. Well, I mean, like clothes, of course, but I mean, like, furniture and stuff like that. I mean, what are the things that people are there things that people need to avoid bringing into their house?
Well, I wouldn't bring antiques into my house. That's for sure.
Okay.
For that would be one thing that I wouldn't bring into my home.
Okay.
But I can't think most of my clients don't even have antiques. If they do, they're heirlooms. And heirlooms have a whole completely different energetic. The history. So there's all that history about coming down to you, and it means something to you, as this woman says, that, brings you joy. To look at it brings you joy. And I ask my clients when I go to people's homes, like, why is that there and why is this? I have to know what your personal attachment is to it before I recommend whether we need to move it or get rid of it. Like if it's like taking up space and there's no real purpose for it and you don't have any personal attachment to it and it's blocking the chi that you need, well, we just need to get rid of it. But if you have a personal attachment to it, then I have to figure out someplace else to put it. If it's blocking the chi that you need that's vital for your health and wealth and happiness, then I have to figure out where else we can put it. So I ask a million questions, like, why is that there? And what does it mean to you? And where else can we put it?
Right.
Kind of thing. I really try to work with my clients because if I tell you to do things and you're not going to do them, then we together are not successful.
Right.
And so I want you to be a success. That's my whole goal when I come to your home, office, or business. So I have A, B, and C. I tell you A, you're not going to do that? Okay, then let's look at B. B option, you're not going to do that? Let's go to C. If you're not going to do C, I don't know what to do.
Right.
I can't help you.
Would you ever have to have anybody come back in to redo feng shui? Like, let's just say if there was a divorce or a death in the family, does that energy need to be changed where you need to come in and rearrange things?
No.
Okay.
No, not rearrange.
Okay.
No. No, not even in divorce.
Okay.
Like a very, very dear friend of mine wasn't going to hire me. She didn't believe in Feng Shui, which is fine. You know, it's okay. I started studying Feng Shui after I knew her for years.
Mm-hmm.
But her husband hired me.
Mm-hmm.
And so she went along, okay, fine, if he wants to spend the money. And I said to her, this house is all about divorce. She said, thank you. I was not expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
So at any rate, they ended up getting a divorce because the house was sitting on a water line. It was a house divided. And a lot of people move into houses happily married and end up divorced. I have a house on my street, we call it the divorce house.
Oh, wow.
Because everybody moves in gets a divorce. But nobody's ever hired me to go and do anything about it. So because I can fix these things, right?
Yeah.
So I said to her, I can fix it. She said, no, it's okay. She wanted a divorce. She just needed an excuse. Because he's a good guy. It's like there was no reason other than she just wasn't happy. Mm. So anyway, she meets a new guy, right? Now the new guy moves into the house with her. And now we're friends, so she's sharing personal things with me. Like they're fighting to the point that she threw something at him and threw his shoulder out of whack. Okay, I said to her, don't you remember I told you your house is about divorce? Mm-hmm. Oh, now we have to fix it. I said, okay. And we fixed it, and it's been 18 years later, and she's still with this guy. So there are certain things that energetically can be fixed, but energetically, I have more than one client, actually. I've gone to their home, and I said to them, your husband's having an affair. How did you know? Because your house is telling me.
Wow.
Yeah. I know for Western minds it's very hard to comprehend. Mm-hmm. But when I went to Malaysia to study, one of the places we had to go was a casino in Genting. Mm-hmm. It's famous. I read about it in the Wall Street Journal 6 months before I went. It's the most successful casino in the world. So when we got there, I was expecting like Caesar's Palace or MGM. And we went, our room, the wallpaper was falling off the wall. It was not impressive at all. And it's the top of a mountain, and we had to take a bus to get up there, and they had a helipad. Anyway, but it's the most successful. We had to reverse engineer it. We had to figure out what the Feng Shui masters did that made people gamble. And the master said to us, don't start gambling, because once you start gambling, you won't be able to stop while you're in this space. I'm not a gambler. I didn't care. It didn't bother me. But I had to go around and reverse engineer, figuring out all the formulas, because they hired 5 different Feng Shui masters. Mm-hmm. Each has a specialty. Mm-hmm. And so they had them, and we had to figure out what all the formulations were that we could even see, but the rest of the population couldn't see, that caused people to go there and gamble. There wasn't very many Chinese people there. Mm-hmm. And the Chinese know this. They use Feng Shui in war, how they set up the battlefields, because they know those soldiers are going to react to energetic space in a certain way.
Yeah. So how can people find you?
Well, they can just go to my website, which is fengshuitechnology.com.
It's a really rewarding job you have.
Thank you. It is. I love it. Yeah. I will never retire.
That's great.
I can't even imagine not doing Feng Shui. People say, if you won the lottery, I would still do this.
Yeah.
Because it's so... the phone calls I get from the clients that tell me how their lives have changed.
Yeah.
Even a year or 2 years later, they call me with questions, and then they fill me in on what's going on.
Yeah. It's so rewarding.
It is rewarding.
Okay. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Got there, right? Okay.
Until next time. Thanks.